guys, and welcome back to Making Finances Sexy. It is me, Rose Short, aka the Red Queen. Come down the rabbit hole with me. I am a realtor here in the Phoenix Valley, as well as CEO of Chronicle Luxury and a financial consultant. It is my mission to help you build multiple income streams, live that dream life, get out there and do what it is you want to do without worrying about money in the bank. And with me, of course, is the wonderful and talented Miss Jessica Lee.
What's up, guys? I'm your Rent Rave owned realtor and certified instructor with the Company 101 Financial right here in the Valley of the Sun. It's my mission to help you transition from renting to home ownership. No matter your situation, I'm here to be your personal finance coach and first-time homebuyer specialist.
Yes!
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about something that professionals both love and hate and is super, super important, regardless of whether your job or your career field requires it or not. And that is continuing education.
Mhm. Yes, I actually love continuing education. I was doing some last night, and just some of the things that come up, like things you don't know or things you kind of forgot about, like that moment of like, oh yeah, like it's actually a really great feeling.
Yeah, I agree. Continuing education's been a factor in my life for a long time. Like my sister was a masseuse and they're required to take CEs. I was a licensed esthetician for a while. You're required to take CEs, realtors, lenders. Oh gosh, I don't even know what else. Just all kinds of professions. Life insurance or insurances in general. Like there's so many professions that require it because the laws are always changing or because we need reminded of things like ethics and responsibilities to our clients versus ourselves and things of that nature, which we're, definitely seeing exploding within the real estate world right now. And there's going to be a lot of changes coming to real estate. And so that's one of the reasons that CEs are important is because the CEs can help teach us, like, there's going to be a new form that's required for open houses. We need to know about that. We need to know what needs to be filled out, how to handle it, how to handle if people don't want to do it. Like all these things we need to know. And that's where continuing education is so, so important. And even in the online realm, like so many people learn digital marketing and they just stick to the one way they're doing it without realizing that social media, digital marketing, all of it is almost a living, breathing thing that's constantly changing, right? Because our habits as consumers and just consumers of content in general are constantly evolving. And so if you're not staying up to date with the trends, if you're not following what consumers are asking for, you're going to get left behind really quickly.
Yeah, totally. A lot of things get pretty outdated pretty quick. So with our ever-changing job markets, technology advancements and automation transforming our traditional roles, like the smart CRMs or your marketing funnels, like those are ever changing and very, very powerful tools that can help you in your business. A lot of people say they don't have time for continuing education. I was one of those people. I was like, how am I supposed to do my job, make money, and learn all at once? But it is possible, definitely. And we just make the time, cut out the things like Netflix and chilling and whatever it is you do, and spend an hour in the morning or at night before bed, just really strengthening your mind and learning something new.
And it's not necessarily just consumers, it's platforms and technology as well, like you were saying. So Facebook used to be really good with certain algorithms and figuring stuff out when it came to running Facebook ads and things like that. But because of the new privacy laws that have been enacted to protect us as consumers, a lot of the ad stuff that used to be really easy to automate can't really be automated anymore because it doesn't do what it used to do. Like Facebook has a limited amount of data now, which I know sounds funny because they have so much data. But they do have limits to the data they can pull. And so what was working for Facebook ads, 6 months ago isn't working now. And so it's it's not that if you take a course that was a year or two old, all the information is going to be bad, but you have to keep going, keep delving. Like, don't just do one course and expect it to be the be all and end all and then get frustrated and hit that 3 month dead date. There's so much more you got to look into. And you also have to look into what's important to you, right? So, like, I have not looked into TikTok because TikTok is not important to me, but I've looked into Instagram a lot because I like Instagram. And so within those platforms themselves, you know, they're similar platforms, there's so many different things and different laws and whatnot that affect them individually, that if you're not constantly trying to keep up with what's changing and just being aware of what's going on the platforms in general, again, you're just gonna get left behind.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I was talking to a friend yesterday. She's like, I should get TikTok and this and that. I'm like, and start posting. She wants to do like meditations and things and start posting them and whatnot. But I told her to try it out first and see if like that's the tools and resources she likes, because she kept telling me she loves Instagram or YouTube, and she's more familiar with those
Mhm.
platforms and whatnot. So I was like, TikTok might not be your place. Why don't you just strengthen your current accounts that you have, the Instagram and the YouTube channel? So it's a
Yeah,
good
that's
tip.
good advice.
And then for the people that aren't like entrepreneurs and working for somebody else, there is an increased demand for skilled and knowledgeable workers. So employers are seeking more candidates with specialized expertise and adaptable skill sets. Um, Competition for there is a lot of competition for talent in high growth sectors, and there's a huge importance of staying ahead of the industry trends and innovations when you are in a particular work environment. Kalani, he works at a motorcycle and power sports place. He has to continually take modules and learn the new um, bikes or power sport vehicles that are coming out, and just staying on top of it, because if he doesn't, they one of these machines and he's like, I don't know how to work on it. So continued education is super important for stuff like that if you're in that job field that has advancements constantly.
Yeah, even if you're in an administrative position, right? Like go down the rabbit hole of really learning Excel or really learning Word or, you know, any of the things that your company is using, and that'll set you apart from the competition really easily as well. Um, there's a back and forth right now with the, you know, go to school, get a degree, and then still get offered minimum wage. So I wouldn't say necessarily go to like college for this kind of stuff unless you really want to go to college, in which case absolutely go. But if college isn't the route you want to take, there are certification programs within like Excel, Microsoft in general, Google even, or YouTube. There are those things that you can do for either cheap or free, and get those certifications that may help your employer just take you more seriously next time you ask for a raise.
Yeah, it's definitely good things you can add to your resume. It gives you that competitive edge over the other job candidates. Same with real estate. If you're continuing your education and sharpening your skill set, like that just puts you in a better position than other people, especially in a more, what's the word, competitive market.
Yeah, well, and in real estate too, if you're not taking your CEs, you can't renew your license. So, but we all
Yeah.
know the person who just blows through them and like, you know, gets the minimum score and doesn't really pay attention. So it is super, super important that you do them and pay attention to them because while yes, a lot of it's repetitive, like you were saying, things are constantly evolving and changing, and there might be new information there that could make or break your next deal.
the so the continuing education, it also positions you for advancement opportunities in your job, and then also what we all want is higher earning potential. Some jobs, they won't increase your pay unless you get certain certificates and things done. So definitely talk to your boss about if there's any opportunities like that, because it can only help you knowledge wise and your paycheck.
Yeah, for sure. But make sure that there's ones they actually care about. Like Amazon, when I worked there, had a ton of like classes you could take, but nobody cared if you had the certification on them. It didn't mean anything unless the learning coordinator had actually taken you through a class and marked it off. So, um, if it's something that interests you and it won't, your boss doesn't care about it, absolutely still go down the rabbit hole of it. But if there's a couple of different things and you are limited on time and you're like, I can only do one of these courses, then yeah, talk to your supervisor or your manager, whoever it is, and be like, hey, like out of all of these, what would the company most like to see on my resume?
Yeah. And some benefits of continued education, I'd say, is improved problem solving and critical thinking skills. Also, you're developing an ability to analyze complex issues and find innovative solutions, enhancing cognitive flexibility and adaptability, and enhance career prospects. And again, making more money. There's a ton of benefits.
Yeah. It's also increased job satisfaction too, right? Because then you actually feel like you really know your job, you know what you're doing, so you're more engaged and maybe even more passionate about it. It gives you a greater sense of personal and professional growth. And then it's just a positive impact on your well-being in general because you don't leave work going like, oh, like, am I faking my way through this? Do I really know what I'm doing? You have that self-esteem boost and that confidence boost that comes with it.
Yes. Yep. And that lifelong learning of personal development that you and I both personally really enjoy. Like,
Yeah.
we can always find ways to enhance ourselves, our lives, and everything around us internally and externally. And there's never a day where you can't learn something, something new. And I love it.
Same. So if you're looking at continuing education for your profession, there's probably a list of like, courses that will actually count and things like that. So make sure you're doing those. And like the one thing is like do one a month, right? So like it's not, I think real estate requires 24 hours, which if you do one a month, you'll have that done really quickly. Because usually the classes are 2 to 3 hours each as far as they count. But with technology and especially like post COVID offices, there's a lot of flexibility with online courses, workshops, webinars, even podcasts can help you with your continuing education if it's on something that is teaching what you're interested about.
Yeah, definitely. Online is just my biggest place where I like to learn things, like YouTube, Spotify with the podcasts. There's just tons of online resources. Some are even, most of them are free. So you can get started on your continued education at no cost to you. But if you're more serious about it, investing in a formal education to deepen that knowledge or getting a coach, like, more power to you.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's also the stuff that we don't usually think about, like conferences, networking events, things like that. That's a really good way to not only learn from other professionals, but really get a beat on the pulse of what is happening outside of your industry and even like your town or city, even.
Yeah, I love networking. It's nerve-wracking at first, but the more you do it, like, the more comfortable you get, the better at communication you get and listening. That was my big thing. I was a poor listener. and, and just like been working on that just by, actively listening and not too worried about my response.
Yeah, awesome. And of course, it's just like anything else, right? You gotta do time management. You gotta plan for it. So if someone who has a hard time going, I don't have time for this, figure out a time to block out that's what you dedicate that to. And sometimes that means it cuts into the weekend or family time. But if it's what's bringing in the income, so you can go on awesome family vacations, it's probably worth the 3 to 4 hours out of the family time on the weekend to go ahead and get it over with.
Yes, and communicate that with your family. Like, um and friends, like, I'm sure they'll totally understand, and if they're really meant to be in your life, they're not going to shun you or deter you. If they do, I would rethink the people you have in your life, because
Yeah.
if anyone is not okay with you learning and growing and wanting to make more money, then I don't want them in my life.
Yeah, yeah, you don't wanna be trying to better yourself while the people around you are trying to drag you down. That's not how that's gonna work.
Exactly.
And then, as we always talk about, goals, 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 set a goal, make a plan. We've talked about it before in previous episodes. Be realistic about it. Like, maybe you really do have a hard time focusing. Do your CE over 3 days, right? Dedicate 1 hour to the first third, and then 1 hour the next day, the second third, and 1 hour next day, the third, and then do the final test. Like, if it takes you longer than a couple hours to finish it, that's okay. Just get it done however is best for you.
Yes, and celebrate the small victories and progress along the way, as always.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and the key is to strategically incorporate continued learning into your existing lifestyle rather than trying to fit it on top of everything else. That's when we run into things like burnout. So with careful planning and the willingness to experiment, you can make time for ongoing education while still managing your other responsibilities. That was a big one for me. I was realizing I was cramming way too much in my mornings. Like I like to do my stretching, meditation, journaling, and then I was like, now I'll learn something, but it just ended up being too much. So moving my learning to nighttime, like it's a great way to unwind, and then when you sleep things kind of settle and process more in your brain. But I had to like try different times a day to get to that point, so just find whatever works for you in your current lifestyle.
Yeah, and pay attention to industry trends too. So maybe you're in an industry where you're super busy from January to November, but December's dead. Use December to take care of your CEs, right? Like, we know so many realtors who November hits and they're like, all right, CE time, let's do it. Because November is historically slow unless you're working directly with snowbirds or 55 plus. And then if you are working with those people, your summers are probably pretty slow. So figure out when the slow period is within your industry and try to work it into those if you're not able to work it into your everyday life prior to that.
Yeah, that's good.
It's sexy.
Sexy. Education is sexy.
Education is very sexy. So that is all I have on continued education. And I know next week, Miss Jess is going to take us through something that I think more people need to go through because not enough of us learned this growing up anymore. And
Home
that is
improvement
it.
hacks.
Yes.
Maximizing value and enjoyment on a budget.
Yes. You can do a lot with your home if you do the work yourself, and you can save a lot of money.